Alright guys, today we're going to do a little unboxing video of the Palmetto Premium Full Auto group. This is not one of the blim ones, this is just one they were running on special, one of their great deals that they always are running on their website. I don't work for Palmetto, but they have such fantastic deals. I don't make any money off of saying that. They just make good stuff. Alright, getting into that, we're going to do a comparison of some of the higher end bulk carrier groups that I have in my collection. We're going to compare the staking jobs and everything else because, again, a lot of companies don't actually make a lot of components in-house. They farm a lot of it out. And we're going to check out how Milspec this is. Based on its description, it is shipped dry. It does use grade 8 fasteners, and the gas key is made of bar stock, and it is chrome lined, and so is the bulk carrier group. So we can see the staking job, very nicely done. Could definitely be a little tighter on the front end. It's not exactly the most symmetrical stake job, but it's totally within Milspec. I've seen military M4s that have worse staking jobs than that, or very similar. So the fit and finish looks pretty good so far. I don't really see any, don't even see any visible tool marks, which has been a complaint on some of the other bulk carrier groups from Palmetto that I've seen on the internet that people were looking at. This was a special that they were running for 90 bucks. Came with a charging handle as well. Again, this is a really high value piece, and I'm very surprised with this. I'm gonna heavily lubricate this before I put it in one of my rifles, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the other bolts in my collection and just compare some of the pieces. Alright, here's my Spikes nickel boron bulk carrier group for comparison. This is retails for anywhere between $200 and $225 typically, and these are super easy to clean. These are really fantastic bulk carrier groups. I've been running this in my AR pistol for a while, and really, truly a fantastic bulk carrier group. But is it worth the extra money? So we'll start at the we'll start in the front here. So these are the bolt faces. You can see that, again, obviously Milspec. You can see that this is recessed a little bit more here, but overall, even the extractor, again, they are Milspec, so not a whole lot of difference there. The big thing that I always look for, obviously, and a big thing is the staking job of these gas keys, because that can be a huge failure point. And now that I'm looking at the two side by side, they're very, very comparable. The fasteners are obviously of different origin, but all in all, for the value, for the money that I put in and have into this, it's got all the same Milspec style stampings and tests, as you can see on the bolt face, or on the bolt itself rather. Again, I just, when you look at and compare the two, at this point in the game, if you're building an AR and you really want to be able to put back more magazines and more ammunition, and you're a little behind the game, you're probably better off going ahead and just getting a standard Milspec carrier than you are spending the $225, unless you feel like you really got to have it. But then you're really going to regret it when you only have 2 or 3 magazines for your rifle and only a couple hundred rounds of ammo, depending on what your budget is. Alright, so next I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull out my Failzero, and we're going to look at that as well. Alright, now I've got the Failzero here, and here's the Palmetto again. Just take a look at the staking job of each. And honestly, the Palmetto one looks a little nicer done to me than even this Failzero, which I have seen a complaint about some of the newer Failzeros, and they just don't feel, just doesn't look as nicely staked as they could be, especially this rear one. It looks like there's just enough staking to prevent maybe any movement, but if I had the tools, I definitely would probably stake this down a little harder, like the Palmetto one is. Which, again, a lot of companies farm out their production. Here we'll do the Spikes versus the Failzero, and we'll see that the Spikes and the Failzero are using exactly the same grade 8 fasteners, but the stake job on the Spikes is definitely just a hair more aggressive than the Failzero. It's just a bit tighter back on this gas key here, or on the this part of the gas key, than it is on this one. Again, guys, just something to consider. Here's a look at the bolt faces. And then I have the bolt carrier group from my RF-85 Anderson manufacturing rifle. This bolt has seen quite a bit of use. I have thousands of rounds through my Anderson manufacturing rifle, and it does not use any lubrication because of its process. And you can see some of the wear and tear on here now as the rifle has been shot. But overall, it is holding up extremely well to its process. Its RF-85 treatment has been very effective in terms of keeping the weapon functional, even running it completely dry as it was designed to be run. And you'll see that the stake job on this, in my opinion, is probably the nicest of the lot. It actually goes clear into those fasteners. They do appear to be the same fasteners, or no, they are a little different even than the fasteners in the Palmetto, but they are much more similar. The markings do appear to be in the same place, though they are added differently. Some of the components do line up a little, just slightly differently. There is some internal lubrication on this bolt carrier group. The retaining pin was more difficult to remove than normal so far, but again, this is shipped pretty much bone dry. Alright, retaining pin removed, and the carrier is out. So here's a closer look at the actual bolt itself. There's some of the markings, some of the Milspec tests that it was put through. You can read up on those. There's plenty of information out there on those. I'm not going to get into that here. We're just looking at the overall machining quality of these carriers. Again, this certainly comes from some Milspec supplier. The big question is whom, and ultimately, again, everything seems to be really well executed so far. The firing pin is very nice, very nicely done. No frills, Milspec carrier. Again, the nice feature with this being that the interior of this is also chromed, which is great. You don't always see that on all your standard bolt carrier groups that are out there. So we're going to go ahead and lube this one up after we take apart. Let's go ahead and grab the, go ahead and pull the spikes apart. Let's see, this one's a little bit dirty still from a recent range trip, but very heavily lubricated. And of course, the super nice thing with these nickel boron carriers that the standard Palmetto is missing is just a real simple wipe of the towel will take a lot of that grime off. As you can see, it just comes right off for the most part. Not a lot of maintenance is required with these. Because they do have that property where they are very, very easy to clean. So, comparing the two bolts, again, just the same Milspec test. You can see some of the markings here. The same sort of tests were run on these bolt carrier groups. So, again, when you're looking at them stripped down like this, I don't see where the value difference ultimately is. Obviously time will tell with the round count, but as it sits right now, and I don't even see the point of breaking the Failzero down, because frankly the spikes and the Failzero are very, very comparable in their fit and finish, with the spikes just being a little smoother, a little nicer finish, and this Palmetto being right up there with the two of them. Obviously it's not nickel boron, but the way it's put together, just everything about it so far I'm very floored with in terms of its value. And again, if you're in a pinch here, we don't have a ton of time left in terms of the election, here's your chance to actually get some quality pieces together, or even a spare bolt carrier group. Let's say you actually are already running a spikes in your rifle. Why don't you go ahead and get yourself a Palmetto? In the event that there ever is a failure, you have a whole host of spare parts here that you can pull from, or even go over to Palmetto's website and pick up some spare parts. Gas rings here, these can be a big fail point. These little tiny pieces here can be a fail point. The gas keys obviously can be a fail point, but if they're staked properly, it's not as much of an issue. The cam pins here we've seen tend to break a lot after, you know, maybe around 5,000 rounds based on a lot of the tests I've seen. Again, totally rifle dependent, totally manufacturer dependent. Again, seeing even just these retaining pins. Go get a couple of these. Like if you lose these, this is like a 25-cent part, but your rifle is rendered completely inoperable without it. Guys, we live in a really wonderful time for AR-15 ownership. Prices have never been cheaper, high quality parts have never been more readily available. Here's your opportunity to go out and get some really great stuff before it's too late. And hopefully you'll be able to set yourself up in preparation before this panic, which is probably why you're watching this video right now. Because there will be an election panic that will ensue. This is not intended to create or foster a panic. It'll just naturally happen on its own. So I encourage you to go out and buy what you need now. You don't have to pay those inflated prices. And if anything else, you know, hopefully you're already registered to vote and you're going to be watching this election very closely, both at the local and national level, and really paying attention to what's going on. And hopefully you'll be casting your votes for the right candidates in this election that will ensure we are able to keep and enjoy these firearms for many, many generations to come.